Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing so well and welcome to this little review of Old Holland's Ultramarine Blue. The history of ultramarine blue is long and fascinating, and one of my favourite things about ultramarine blue is actually the name. The name comes from the Latin ultramarinus, and actually it means beyond the sea. How beautiful is that? The original ultramarine blue pigment has been around for centuries. It's one of the oldest pigments, and it comes from lapis lazuli, the gemstone. Very beautiful, and what happens is you grind up the gemstone and then you get ultramarine. This is a very rich, beautiful blue, and one of its earliest uses was actually on Tutankhamun. Lapis lazuli comes from Afghanistan, and in fact Europe only really started to see it during the 15th and 14th centuries when the Renaissance artists got hold of it. Italian traders got it over from Afghanistan. Now you can imagine this pigment was incredibly expensive. It was ridiculously expensive because even when you grind the gemstone, in fact it doesn't actually produce much pigment at all. So artists would only really use it in certain areas of their paintings. During the Renaissance, religious paintings were the big thing, and so the ultramarine was saved for painting things like the Virgin Mary because it really symbolized purity, and plus you're going to save the most expensive pigment for painting the most central and important figures in your artwork. Even more comical about this is when artists were going to be painting commissions, they would say to their clients, well, I'm going to use ultramarine blue, how much are you willing to pay and how much do you want it in your painting? So the cost then was billed to the client. If you've watched my previous videos on all the history of pigments, then you'll probably be thinking, who is one artist who always seems to get his hands on these rare expensive pigments? And you guessed it, it was Vermeer again. Vermeer was a big user of ultramarine blue. He seemed to just have an eye and a lookout for all these amazing pigments. He did use ultramarine blue a lot in his oil paintings. You can imagine how frustrating it would have been back in the day when all these pigments were so amazing but so expensive, and so they could only use it on certain areas of their paintings just to save it. So in 1826 a French chemist called Jean-Baptiste Guillemet came up with a concoction that made ultramarine blue synthetically. To distinguish this new synthetic ultramarine from the old lapis lazuli one, it was called French ultramarine blue. Now obviously because of the new synthetic pigment, the old lapis lazuli ultramarine blue has been phased out. Nobody really uses it anymore. However, you can get hold of it, so I've been looking this up, and apparently Michael Harding does do a lapis lazuli ultramarine blue, and he's called it, I believe, genuine Afghan ultramarine blue, which I think is really cool because it really relates to all the history behind it. So anyone who is a great fan, a great lover of recreating sort of historical techniques should definitely check out his version. There's also Daniel Smith, I believe. I think he does a version of it as well. And you should be also interested in the price, because a normal standard synthetic ultramarine blue is around, probably one of the cheapest blues you can get. You're talking £8 to £10 of the Old Holland version, and that's cheap for an Old Holland colour. But the lapis lazuli one, the original one, you're talking at least £80, so there is a huge price jump. I am desperate to try this colour though, so I think I'll have to keep saving up my pennies, and maybe one day if I get hold of it I will definitely do a review. I think that Michael Harding's paints are absolutely brilliant, so I think it's amazing that he's come out with this genuine version, because I think a lot of people now, they're really looking back in the past, they really want to recreate that sort of old master style, and they want to see what these great artists in history actually used. And funnily enough, I've actually read that the synthetic version has a better tinting strength than the original old ultramarine, the lapis lazuli one, but still I think it's worth it's worth trying, isn't it? So I'll definitely let you know if I ever get hold of it. But what about this Old Holland version of Ultramarine Blue? As you can probably tell from how much I have used, this is one of my favourite blues, funnily enough, because nowadays a lot of people, they see Ultramarine Blue and they just think, oh, whatever, you know, it's just Ultramarine, like who cares? But when you look back in the history of it, you see what an incredible colour it actually is in terms of, you know, the history behind it. And also when I use this particular one, this one by Old Holland, I haven't tried that many. I've tried the Winsor & Newton, I think, and it's not my favourite. And I think I've tried the Gamblin one as well, but this one is my absolute favourite out of those that I've tried, because I just find that the colour is extremely intense and it's really rich. And I also feel it's got an incredible... The beauty, in my opinion, of Ultramarine Blue really comes out when you mix it with white, because Ultramarine Blue is a more red blue. Now, I know some Ultramarine Blues, but from some brands, they add a little bit more green to it, so you can get a sort of slightly greenish version of Ultramarine. But I find the most useful for me is the more reddish version of it, because when you mix it with white, it turns into a sort of slightly purpley blue, which I just really like. I find it looks so incredible when you paint skies with it. As I say, if you've never tried Ultramarine Blue and you just see it and you think, well, it's so boring, give it a go. Mix it with white, because it really isn't as boring as it comes across. And just one more thing, you may be noticing there's something different about me. You're thinking, why do you look so odd? Well, in actual fact, I've switched it back to my Canon camera because I checked out my video from last week and the quality was so bad that I thought I need to stop filming on my phone and being lazy, because it is essentially laziness. I need to switch back to my proper camera, get my slow moving editing software out. I need to spend my life back on my laptop editing for hours and hours on end. So yeah, so I'm going to be hopefully filming on this camera for a while anyway. So I have said goodbye for now to my phone. I haven't been filming on my phone now for about a year, and actually coming back to using my normal camera actually goes to show how much I've missed it. So yeah, I do hope you prefer the quality. Maybe you think this quality is actually rubbish and the phone is better. Let me know. If it's, you know, really scary to see every crevice on my face, then let me know that too. And I will now switch to my palette. So here we go, friends. Here are our two colours. Here's just some white I'm using titanium white by Blocks, and here is the magical ultramarine blue. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like all by itself. And as you can see, it's extremely rich. What an amazing blue. And I like to use it for skies and water, but it's so versatile. What's amazing about it also is that when you mix it with red, because it has red undertones itself, it really does make an incredible purplish purple. Purplish purple. It makes an amazing purple. And so you can see it's sort of got some slight transparency as well, so also great for glazing. So there we have what it looks like on its own, and here's where the magic happens. Let's mix it with some white, and you can see so here I've just added some white, and you can see what a beautiful opaque warm colour it creates, and this will be amazing for sky. We've just added some medium, so showing you that you can glaze with it as well, and it creates beautiful glazes actually. So there we have it. There we have the amazing Old Holland Ultramarine Blue. I highly recommend, one of my favourite blues, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've tried this colour and let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you soon. Take care, guys.